our follow-up appointment with our doctor to discuss the results and to discuss what the next step is after the second retrieval. So for one, he was obviously happy with the results. He didn't really say, well, I guess he did kind of say like why he thought we didn't have that many the first time. He didn't bring up anything about the egg quality, which I should have asked, but I forgot. But he says, I think what helped was the fact that you were on Followup versus Gonolef. That was like the main thing. And then I had told him, I asked him if stress could be a factor. He says, of course. And so I told him about work, that while we were doing stims last time, pretty much our company was shut down. So of course my stress level was absolutely through the roof, and he was like in total shock. He was like, oh my god, I had no idea. I was like, of course not. Like, you know, we weren't gonna be like, hey everyone, we're about to lose our jobs. So he thinks the fact that we changed up the protocol obviously gave us the results that he was expecting the first time around. And because also I think he kind of made a comment of, because we did it back to back, that may have helped as well. So the next step is so I asked him, like, you know, when can we do the transfer, blah blah blah. This whole entire time he's been saying after the new year. I have been assuming January, but I've even said it, like, I think it's January, but I'm not 100% sure. So he says, I can get you started on your protocol for the transfer now, for a January transfer. However, he goes, considering that things didn't go as planned the first time around for the egg retrieval, we don't know what's going to happen when we try to transfer. He's like, you know, pretty much like, you've never been pregnant. So he said that he would recommend us doing the EPA, which is you're pretty much on the same medications as if I were doing the transfer, but on so-called transfer day is a biopsy. So I take a biopsy of my uterus and they ship it off to some lab somewhere, and they try to narrow it down to a specific day or within like a 24-hour window. The embryo would implant much better. So in some cases, some women transfer their embryos and it doesn't stick because it's just the body's just like, my body's not ready for it. Oh, this guy's going crazy. So he's like, you know, we obviously want it to stick the first time around, and he's obviously recommending this just because he's like, the results of the egg retrieval weren't so good. So he's like, let's not take the chance. He obviously left it up to us, you know. He's like, we can leave it up to you, and then, you know, if you doesn't stick the first time around, then we can then do the EPA. But he's like, why do that when you can at least, you know, of course it costs money. We can do all this we can do this test and get a better idea of when we can transfer, and then have a higher success rate during transfer. So he asked me when does my cycle start, and I was like, well, by chance my cycle started 5 days early, so I am on day 3. So he's like, perfect. Oh, by the way, like, we asked Matt, I asked Matt, I was like, you make the decision, because I couldn't. I was just like, I knew Matt wanted to do it, so he's like, yeah, let's do it. By the way, he was also asking about, let me backtrack, sorry, I'm all over the place right now. He was also talking about transferring 1 or 2 embryos. I know Matt had made a comment once that he wanted to transfer 2, and so did I, but the doctor's like, that's obviously high risk, and you obviously, you know, it's a low chance, but he's like, you have a chance of it splitting, so you could have three babies, and if that's the case, then which is a part that kind of upset me. He was just like, oh, we'd have to, I forgot the term that he used. It's a simple term, but I can't think of it right now. It's 6 something in the morning. He was like, so if you end up with like triplets, we'd have to terminate, like get rid of one of them. Which I was like, absolutely not. Like, that's, women have triplets and whatever. But he was just like he would recommend getting rid of one baby, which is crazy, because why would I do that? Why would I in my opinion, kill a baby? And yeah, I just this is crazy. But let me get back to you in a few minutes. Well, on YouTube world, it's like a second. All right, it's been a couple hours actually, 2 hours actually, since I last spoke to you guys. And I did my labs for the CA-125, which I didn't mention it yet because it wasn't done with my story. So that same day, he had asked, like I said, he had asked me when my cycle starts or whatever, and I was like, well, again, my cycle started 5 days early. That's never happened. Like, my cycle is like super on point. I guess between all the medications and everything, like, it just, my body was out of whack. So it started 5 days early, and it happened to be day 3, which we know what happens on day 3. So he's like, well, you know what we're gonna do? And I'm like, you know, I know that I knew it was gonna happen, but a part of me really hoped it wouldn't happen. So cycle day 3, labs and ultrasound done the same day. So I did the labs, which is the building right next door, and then the ultrasound, and Matt was with me, and he was like, is this the bloody ultrasound? And I'm like, yes. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna be in the room for that. So he was in there one time, and then this time around he was like, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not doing this to myself again. Which, prepare yourself, Matt, because childbirth is a lot messier than that. Then because it was so late in the day, I think at this point it was already 11 o'clock. They feared that they wouldn't get because they do a pregnancy test just in case. I had no freaking eggs, so whatever. They have to take a pregnancy test. Physically impossible to get pregnant if you took all of my eggs. So they're like, well, we have to do the pregnancy test, and it's so late that we're not going to get it from your labs quick enough. So they had me, mind you, before I did the ultrasound, they were like, empty out your bladder. And then after I did my ultrasound, that's when they realized, wait a minute, I don't think we're gonna get your labs quick enough. So you need to take a urine test. And I was like, well, I just literally emptied out my labs. I just emptied out my bladder like 10 minutes ago. She's like, even if you get a drop, try to get something. So I ended up, I had something left in my bladder, and I still needed to do labs for other results. And then they put me on birth control again. So today, like I said, I did the CA-125 because the doctor wants to see if he fears that with everything that we've done with the egg retrieval, if I have endometriosis, it might have been flared up. So what he wanted to do was do another CA-125 to see where my levels are at this point. So that's what I did this morning. And then, let me see, what else? I did that this morning, and then right after, as soon as I left, I ran across, jumped the street to go to my appointment with my IVF coordinator, and that's where she gave me the calendar for when everything is done. Based on the whole calendar, I was like, ugh, I start my new job January 7th, and doing ultrasounds and whatnot so soon after I start is like a no-go for me. So she was like, well, we can do whatever you want. So I was like, can we at least push it back a week? That way everything is pushed back a week, and the biopsy will be at the end of January versus it'll be like 3 weeks after I start versus 2 weeks, which, whatever. I mean, I really, you know, all this stuff stresses me out, and that makes me so upset. She told me all the injections. She gave me instructions for the injections. She told me I'm going to be doing patches. And I'm going to do progesterone oil. And then she said I needed to do a SIS. It's like some saline test that they shoot up my uterus. And she says it's going to hurt a little bit. You're going to be cramping, but it's not going to be as bad as the HSG that I had done almost a year ago. So I just want to see if I have any polyps. Then she says that I should do a APA. Mind you, I don't know what any of these things stand for. Age test for blood clotting, I think, and then NK cell labs, which I think it's an indicator if some cells will attack the pregnancy, something like that, right? So she was like, you need to find out if your insurance covers it, but the girl at the front will help you out. So she was like, okay, you have everything. You have your instructions for your injections. You have your calendar. You have all your tests that you need to do. Now let's go and make the appointment. So I made all the appointments, and again, I was like, she was like, oh, you don't need to do any of these tests right now. Like, your actual transfer is going to be like so far away, like in so many months, that you'll be fine. And I was like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, I need to know that I'm covered with insurance right now, and I can get this stuff done now. So I'm doing my SIS on Friday, and my labs on next week. Then, she also gave me another, I need to do another set of labs, and she was like, oh, you already did the CA 125 today, and she's like, oh man, like, you could have done that, and plus some other labs I have to do. So I need to do another set of labs. These people, labs and ultrasound all the freaking time. I am yapping away today. So that is where we are at now. Once I find out my schedule for work, for my new job, then I have to email her with a time that I think it's going to be best for me to give. I'm sure I'm going to have to give myself those Lupron injections. No, it's not Lupron, progesterone injections. Oh, and then at some point on this schedule, I'm going to have to do vaginal progesterone. What is it? Something vaginal. I think it's progesterone. But yeah. Anyways, I will talk to you guys probably Friday. Deuces. Wish us luck.